What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Rutgers Rundown podcast. I'm Matt Mangam. No Nick Hart today. He's out in Vegas for the Players Era Festival. But I got a special guest on today. I got Eric LeGrand, former Rutgers football player. Eric, how you doing, my man?
Doing awesome. I appreciate you guys having me on today.
Of course, of course. So we're going to talk about a little about Rutgers football this year and also just about you personally. Now you obviously are analyst for Rutgers football for the radio call. So how long have you been doing that? And, how cool is it to be a part of the team still like that?
It's crazy to think, man. I'm getting old, but I think it might be my 14th or 15th season with the team now. So I've seen a lot, the good, the bad, the ugly, the transition from going from Big East to I think it was the AAC, or American Athletic Conference, and then to now the Big Ten. I've seen a lot, but coming back to this year, I'm proud to see where the team is at now, especially how things were going at one point during the season, four straight losses to see them having to have a chance to go to get bowl eligibility. First, that team over there in Pennsylvania, Penn State, which is coming to Piscataway. I'm excited to see the guys go out there and compete this Saturday. But it's been fun being a part of the radio broadcast and just being around the football team in general.
Must have been some of the highlights, covering Rutgers football or being a part of it past couple of years.
It's always good how you get to see the teams evolve, how you see them grow and mature when they come in there as young boys and they leave as grown men and the development of them, watching those running backs out there, as we know, with Isaiah Pacheco and Kyle Monanga. Rutgers is becoming the seventh round running back you, which is awesome to see. And then those guys go to have success in the NFL. But overall, the fans on game day, the experience, the atmosphere. That's what it's all about, people coming together. I've done a lot of stuff, obviously with the university, whether if it's with my foundation or my businesses, but just seeing the Rutgers community get together in the fall for those Saturday afternoons, that's what's really special about it.
Yeah, you mentioned, your brands you have at the coffee house and then you have the whiskey. So just talk about how you've been able to, do so much different things and really, I guess like kind of branch out.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey. I never thought I would be doing any of this if you would ask me this even before the pandemic. But the pandemic changed a lot of things. It got my mind going and wanted to explore other fields of entrepreneurship. And that was launching a coffee brand, which we wanted to bring unity to the community with a daily cup of belief. We wanted to bring people together over a cup of coffee, which 85% of the world enjoys. So I
Yep.
created a coffee shop and learned about that, which then led me to creating a whiskey company where people see me drinking out and about here and there when I'm out at a restaurant or a bar, and they look at me crazy because I'm in a wheelchair. And I wanted to end that stigma. And we launched Eric LeGrand Kentucky Straight Bourbon, and $5.20 goes back to the Christopher and Dana Reed Foundation. So that's been uh it's been a lot of fun doing that, and obviously getting the Rutgers community involved with the coffee and then with the bourbon.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. You mentioned team this year, just kind of, I guess, your thoughts on the team as a whole, how the season's gone so far.
Yeah, you see this team, they came out obviously 3-0. It was a little bit rough. The defense and wasn't, playing up to the level that we expected Rutgers defense to play. And then I believe they lost four games in a row, and people were like, whoa, like where did this season go? And there were games that were winnable games in there. Obviously, you look back at the Iowa game, the Minnesota game, where they had their chances, but unfortunately, they came up short. So you thought that team could just pack it in and that would be it. But they found a way to get that win on the road versus Purdue. First, I can't tell you the last time Rutgers had a walk-off win like that in a long time. Then you get the winner at home versus Maryland. And then obviously you play the number one team in the country. But I will say there were opportunities in that game to make it really interesting. A few boneheaded mistakes that we made, but and also I don't care. I'm not a coach. I can say those referees. My God, that was some terrible stuff that we saw out there on Saturday. But it made it interesting, but it all sets up for what we have to this upcoming Saturday. And that's a chance for either Rutgers or Penn State to be able to go to the postseason with a bowl win. Going to the postseason means so much for your team and developing them and getting those extra practices and being able to go compete against another team in another conference again in a bowl. That's what you play for, that postseason. So I can't wait for Saturday.
Yeah, it should be a good game. People have said that that's maybe the most important game for Shiano 2.0 era. What do you agree with that? Do you think that's a fair point?
I guess you can. I feel like a lot of their big games all throughout, but I guess the way that this season has went, like I said, those guys could have packed it up and went away a long time ago, but I'm proud of them, the way that they continue to fight. And, I got all the noise in the air, and you can't stay away from it nowadays. It's all over social media. It's plastered everywhere you go. Where when you do well, everyone's your friend. When you're not doing well, everyone hates you. They call you names, this and that.
Hmm.
Everyone should be fired. All that kind of crazy stuff. So seeing how those guys continue to just stay focused on the task at hand, show up week in and week out, whether if they won or whether they lost. That's what I'm most proud about them about. And they have an opportunity now. For like you just said, Shiano having his big game of Shiano 2.0 to get this team over that hump and into the playoffs. Not the playoffs, I should say that postseason.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned people obviously, talking about things when things go bad. The defense has been a big talking point, but there were some improvements against Ohio State. So I guess your kind of thoughts on the defense heading into Penn State?
Yeah, they've actually shown a lot of improvements. It started with the Purdue game when they were on the road. There were some big plays in there, but they were getting better, playing that bend but don't break type of style. Then versus Maryland, they gave up three big plays in the running game. But other than that, they were starting to lock down, and we got multiple people to the ball swarming, making TFLs. That's what you want to see out of the defense. That's the defense that I knew that I played in. Everyone doing their job, getting multiple hands to the ball, guys flying around, having fun with confidence, being the leaders of the team. So you're starting to see a little bit of that, especially versus that Ohio State team. And let's just
Mhm.
say they got dudes over there, straight dudes on that Ohio State team. And to see Rutgers defense, line up and play with, to them for obviously the score was 42-9, but for the most part, they played well with them and they matched up and they were causing disruption and little bit of us, the first half scaring Ohio State a little bit like, whoa, why are we not winning by more right now?
Yeah.
Going versus Penn State, two hungry teams right now. Penn State has obviously had their fair share of issues this season, but they're playing well right now. They're playing for their coaching staff, and they got talent on that team. So I'm excited for the matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Rutgers hasn't beaten Penn State since 1988. So, if they can
Yeah.
get a win,
We
it'll be
both weren't
huge.
born yet.
No, no, no. I was not even close. So yeah, I mean, I guess another thing that's been, I guess, more positive has been just Ethan Kaliakmanis. Of course, 214 passing yards away from getting 3,000. That's will be the third only player in program history to do that. So I guess just what have you seen from Ethan this season?
Aiken has had his ups and downs in the season, but I see someone who is very well commanded in the offense. He knows how to command it. He knows how to make big plays, and he's not afraid to make big throws. He pushes the ball down the field. He makes those intermediate route throws. When he gets cooking and he's going and he's confident back there, he is very hard to stop. And the times where he gets a little bit shaky is when he gets pressure on him, he starts getting sacked, and then he doesn't trust the pocket as much. And then he starts, moving his feet too much or making bad throws. But when he's protected, he's slinging the rock to those two gigantic wide receivers on the outside and little DT Sheffield mixture it up and Kenny Fletcher at the tight end position. When he can hit all of his targets, you can see you'll know right in the first quarter. Okay, Aiton's feeling really good today. He's confident. He's out there throwing that ball around the field. It has a good game plan. His routes, reading through his route tree, obviously, and then you just see him delivering good balls. So that's when you know right away. Okay, Aiton's locked in today.
Yeah, I remember in particular the Iowa game. I was just like, wow, he's really got it today. I mean, that's Iowa's statistically one of the best defenses in the country too. So I
They
was
were
like,
they were throwing that ball down the field on Iowa. And that's what you got to do when you got a 6'3" wide receiver and a 6'6" wide receiver. You got to take those chances one on one, but you got to complete them. In that Iowa game, he was dialed in and dropping dimes out there, I should say.
yeah, I mean, you mentioned the wide receivers. KJ Duff, Ian Strong have been fantastic this season. Just talk about, I mean, their performances this season.
I can't tell you the last time we had two receivers that are putting up the numbers that they had statistically in the Big Ten, and let alone in any conference. They're special players, and you hope that you get to keep them both. And everyone's talking about Ian Strong maybe going to the NFL or KJ Duffin, the new NIL transfer portal. You hope that you can keep those guys in those because those are culture builders. Those are pillars that they came in here, they trusted Coach Shiano and his staff to develop them into who they are today. And you can see they're gifted, they're talented, they're not afraid to go across the middle. They got sure hands. They can take the top off and go deep too to pick up big chunk plays like you need. So overall, there's really not many weaknesses in their game. They get challenged here and there because they end up people have taken notice to them. Let's just say that. So they're
Yeah.
getting everyone's best effort when they play them. So you're going to pick against Ohio State teams. They're trying to like, oh yeah, we're going to shut you down. We're going to show you we are our first round pick and this and that. But that's the pressure that you want and they've earned it.
Yeah, and someone else I think that's got that attention is Antoine Raymond, of course, 1,000 rushing yards this year. The Maryland game with the 41 carries and what was it, 240 rushing yards, something like that. Just crazy game from him. I mean, you mentioned before, it's another running back that Rutgers has developed that's just has been fantastic.
That's one position that Rutgers never lacks of is running backs. It just seems to be one man after the next, after the next, and they run hard, they run tough, and I think they have good vision, so they know where the holes are, how to get the best out of each run, not taking negative run plays with going sideways and sideways. They hit the hole, and then as the game goes on, they get harder and harder to bring down. They're like bowling pins, barreling through people as you get tired, and the defense gets worn down. You got to keep on trying to tackle that bowling ball coming at you. It is not easy. So those guys, Antoine Raymond and his predecessors, obviously special, and he's going to be a special one as well because I think he's a sophomore, a true sophomore, so he still
Yeah.
has another year of eligibility. Man, keep on feeding that guy the ball because he knows how to get the job done, and you got a lot of trust in him, and he can pass block as well.
And you mentioned all these guys, wanting to keep them with the era of NIL. I mean, Rutgers now has Keli Zinn at the helm. What have you seen from her so far? I mean, she's been very active so far with the RNIL and everything else. Just your thoughts on that Keli Zinn?
I love it. She's been awesome because, NIL for a lot of times when they first started, like workers kind of put it on the back burner and like whispered about it. They didn't want to put it out there right on Front Street and like talk about it. She doesn't give a damn. She is straight up telling you, this is what we need. This is what we're going to do. This is where we see the direction of the program's going. We need NIL. I feel like everyone would mention it, but then it was always talked about behind the scenes, never, publicly. Her and President Tate. They do not care. They're coming from LSU. They know what it's like. They've seen good programs, great programs, national championship programs. They know what it takes to get there. And right now, in this new world of college athletics, it is NIL. So I'm so happy about them putting it out there right out Front Street for all the New Jersey to see. And we are stubborn people. So at first, people are like, oh, why should I give my money? Blah, blah, blah. Watch when you start winning on the field and people start to see the difference in what this NIL can do for you and your programs and how quick it can turn them around. I think people will start to just finally adjust to it. Us New Jersey people, we're a bit stubborn and we're in the last minute to the thing. So I think people, as they start to really see, how the benefits of NIL, I think it'll be special.
Yeah, I guess it's just that New Jersey and New Yorkers are kind of stubborn and everything, don't like change.
Exactly what it is. They don't like change. Like, why am I going to give my hard-earned dollars to that kid? Blah, 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 this and that. That's kind of how we are here. But when the product starts to get better on the field, people will be like, here, take my money, whatever you need.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, like you could just see at LSU the amount of talent they've produced there. Like, Kelly's in, she's like, this is nothing to her. Like, she's worked with so much more talent. So, yeah, I mean, I guess going back to the Penn State game to kind of close it out, the podcast, what are some keys that you want to see from Rutgers on Saturday?
So Penn State is going to try to run the hell out the ball. I watched their game this past week versus Nebraska. They are trying to run it between their two running backs with Allen and Singleton. They are going to try to run the ball. They're on their second string quarterback, so they try to put him in positions where they don't have to throw the ball, 30, 40 times a game because, he's still a work in progress. Rutgers is going to have to bring their hard hats and shovels to this game because it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a line of scrimmage type of game, and you cannot let them establish the run and give up those big plays in their running game. And it's one big play that can change it. So Rutgers has unfortunately found ways to give up usually one or two big runs. Whereas this Penn State team, you can't do that because they're going to start getting confidence and they're going to keep on going back to it and back to it and back to it again. And on the offensive side, they got to pick up a little bit on the wide receivers. They didn't have a really good game at all last week versus Ohio State, so you're hoping back at home they'll be able to challenge them vertically, get DT Sheffield mixed up with one-on-one matchups, get him the ball, and then obviously they got to be able to run it again with Antoine Raymond because
Oh,
they
yeah.
weren't able to do that at all versus Ohio State. And you got to give Ohio State credit. I think they had four D linemen. They're all going to be drafted in the first round. Just unbelievable talent up there. And Penn State has talent too, but I don't know if they're as good as Ohio State.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy how many good players Ohio State has. So many NFL ready players they already have.
That's right.
Um, yeah, it's crazy. I guess do you kind of see it being a high scoring game on Saturday? I feel like it has the potential to be high scoring.
It definitely does, especially if there's big plays that are going to happen, and Rutgers is going to have to put up points like that. it's going to be hard to win a game versus Penn State if it's like a say a 14-10 game, type of game. Like you want to be able to put up, 25 to plus points versus this Penn State team and try to get the confidence out of them. Because if you could start to score on that defense, which is not easy to do, like, but I'm gonna say like it's this easy thing to do. But if you can, you could get them in the mode of here we go again, all the adversity that we went through this season. They could maybe pack it in early. But you don't want that team right now that's playing with confidence coming off of two straight wins and they get to a bowl game. You don't want to give them any more confidence. So as many points as you can score, you got to do it.
Yeah, and we've seen how it's been in the past, really, ugly at times against Penn State, but people have said that this is the best chance Rutgers has to beat Penn State in recent years. Do you think that's true?
I think so because of just all the circumstances that they've dealt with. We talk about the losing streak that Rutgers went through. Penn State went through the same thing. They didn't win a Big Ten game until the past two games, and they lost their coach. This was supposed to be their national championship
Yeah.
team, and it just went right down the toilet. So they've been through a lot over there. So this is definitely, probably Rutgers' best chance to try to keep them down where they are right now. But it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a tall task ahead of them because there's still talent over there, and they're very good, and right now they are confident.